TSTV. Today, let's discuss weight loss tips, practical weight loss tips you can even take at home. You know that gaining weight or having an excessive weight is a challenge, not just a health challenge, it's also a social challenge because some people have poor body image, and because of that, and it affects their psyche and the way they relate with themselves and also relate with people around them. Now, according to what we know in science, we usually check weight with what we call the body mass index. The body mass index is the ratio of your weight to your height, your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. So let's assume your weight is 65 kg and your height is 1.6 meters. In centimeters, that should be 160 centimeters. So what you need to do is to check that your weight and divide it, that your weight is 65, divide it by 1.6 squared. That's 1.6 multiplied by 1.6. So that gives you what we call the body mass index. The normal body mass index is between 18.5 to 24.9 kilogram per meter square. That's what is considered normal. Between 25 and 29.9 is what we call overweight, and 30 and above is what we regard as obesity. Now, once your weight starts entering the overweight range or the obesity range, it increases a whole lot of the risk of a whole lot of sicknesses like hypertension, diabetes, heart problems. And for some people, it also affects their social image, their image before the public. And for some, it may even lead to psychological problems like depression. Now, losing weight is not something that is difficult, though sometimes it may also be difficult. And it mustn't also be so demanding in that you don't need to have a gym in your house or to even register in a gym to lose weight. There are some practical tips that you can put in as an adult to help you lose weight without spending much. So these are the tips that we'll have to look at today. So one tip is to make sure you eat more whole foods. Now, this is a habit you have to develop over time. If you form the habit of eating well early enough in life, it becomes your habit. And even if you are no longer that young and you still want to change your habit, you can still do that. Now, when we talk about whole foods, there are foods that are not processed or are minimally refined. Now we see it as a status symbol when you buy some refined foods like spaghetti, like ketchup and things of that nature, cheese. But these things are not safe. So they shouldn't even, some of them shouldn't even be found around you. And it's something that you have to develop. First of all, your mindset has to change about what good feeding means. You have to change your mindset to tell yourself that eating wholesome food, eating vegetables and things of that nature, milk, fruits, vegetables, and wholesome foods, foods that are rich in fiber, you have to tell yourself, first of all, that this is good. That you don't have to eat refined foods for people to know that you have arrived or that you are rich. Because in the long run, they end up increasing your weight and increasing your risk of having some non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes. So try as much as possible to eat wholesome foods, because these foods helps to regulate digestion. It helps your blood sugar to level to be normal, optimal, so that, because you know when you have excess glucose, the body converts it to fats. So you end up adding more weight. Then the second tip, remember we are looking at 7 tips. We talked about eating wholesome foods. Go close to nature as much as possible. Visit the village markets and get vegetables and fruits. It's better in the long run. Then the second tip is to watch your portions. Sometimes people overeat without even knowing that they've done that. So what you need to do is to make sure your plate is small. So if you have very large plates in your kitchen, it's time to replace them with smaller plates. So eat from very small plates. In fact, research has shown and observation and experiences have shown that when you eat the same quantity of food from a small plate and a large plate, you get filled easily on a small plate than on a large plate. The same quantity, the different size of plate. So make sure your plate is small. Then watch your carbohydrates portion. In fact, you should have enough balance between the carbohydrate, the protein, the veggies. So don't just go out all out to eat carbohydrates, because that's where you have the excess sugar that get converted to fats at the end of the day. You can also measure your meal. Yes. Like if you have some measuring cups or some spoons, you can tell yourself that I shouldn't eat more than 1.5 spoons or 1 spoon of this in a day. So you can put those restrictions. Now, maintaining a good weight demands discipline, just like in every other area of life. So you can measure your meals and avoid picking at leftovers. When you have, don't think that throwing away food is a waste, that it has to be eaten. Now, the way the body works is that it doesn't use more than it should use. So if your body needs just maybe 15 kilograms of carbohydrate at some point, even if you consume 40, it will not use it. So some of them will go out as waste and the rest will be converted to fats. So there's no need saying let this food shouldn't waste. Let's not throw it, let somebody eat it. Because at the end of the day, it won't benefit you. The third tip is to drink more water. Now, some of us don't like taking water before we eat because we really want to attack the food with that hunger. But at the end of the day, you eat more if you do that. So if you can take up to 500 ml of water before each meal, one is that it helps to reduce your hunger level and it helps you to eat less. At the same time, we know that water is very beneficial because that's what aids circulation. So drinking enough water is beneficial for you and it helps you to reduce the quantity of food you eat. And you also make it a habit over time to replace soda and sugary drinks with water. Train your mind that when you are thirsty, train your mind to understand that when you are thirsty, that what you need is water, that you don't need Coke or Pepsi or any other sugary drink. Those drinks don't actually quench thirst because they are concentrated, they have a lot of sugar, so they enter your blood vessels, and before you know it, they leave the blood vessels because of their high concentration of sugar, and you get thirsty again. I believe you may have noticed that when you are thirsty and you take any of those drinks, before you know it, you are thirsty again. So when you are thirsty, take water. Don't take sugary drinks. So that's tip 3. Tip 4 is to move your body. Now, life is getting more sedentary than before. A lot of people are working on laptops for long, they have to sit for long. Then don't assume that because you've been working, maybe typing for hours, that's work, that's exercise. No. Now, exercise involves moving your body to the point that you expend energy, and especially moving the skeletal muscles. In the body, we have two types of muscles. You have the smooth muscles, you have the skeletal muscle. Now, if you are looking at the laptop, you are using the smooth muscles in your eye, so it's not exercise. So you have to exercise the big muscles. That's the muscles that move the bones on your arms, on your legs. These are the skeletal muscles. So, and WHO recommends doing this for about 150 minutes in a week, 150 to 300 minutes in a week. That's the recommendation by both WHO and Center for Disease Control to control. So now you mustn't, moving your body doesn't mean that you have to go on a treadmill. No, something like just dancing. This may be in your house or within your office. You can just put up a form of music and dance to the beat. You can walk around even within your house. You can jump, you can swim if you can. Then if you have the option to park further away from your office, they mustn't drop you just at your doorstep. So taking that a few steps helps, and even where you have an escalator, you have an elevator, and you have staircase, it's better to choose the staircase instead of taking the elevator. So that helps you to exercise. So moving your body is till 4. Then till 5 is getting some sleep. WHO recommends that an adult should have at least 9 hours of sleep. Now, this is difficult for most of us because we run very busy lives, but you should be very intentional about having enough sleep. Now, this is what sleep does for you. It helps to regulate the way your body handles food and even to regulate the hormones in your body. So, and a link has been found between not having enough sleep to increase in weight. So you even imagine that maybe when people don't sleep well, they start losing weight, but that's not the how it works, because not having enough sleep distorts the way your body handles food and the way the hormones in your body run. So that will eventually increase your weight at the end of the day. Now, tip 6 is to manage stress. Now, there's this consequence of when people are stressed, they tend to eat more. That's what we call emotional eating. So even without knowing, they consume more. Then stress on its own also increases the levels of some hormones like cortisol in the body, and these are the hormones that can even make you to add more weight. So now we cannot avoid stress. It's part and parcel of living. But then you can manage it. Stress is actually how you respond to the stressor. Yes, you have some difficulties, you have some challenges. Stress is the way you respond to those stressors. So you can manage your response. And how do you manage your response? Develop some good habits like exercising. It helps you to manage stress, listening to music, getting adequate sleep, staying connected to loved ones. Try as much as possible to maintain a healthy diet even when stressed, because these are the things that increase the BMI, the body mass index, at the end of the day. Then lastly, tip 7, having looked at all these points, aim for consistency. So it's not about avoiding water, avoiding excess food, or using a small plate today, then tomorrow you go to a party and you consume so much. It's not about avoiding stress just for today, then being so stressed the other day that you go into emotional eating. It's not about having enough sleep today and not having it tomorrow. So tip 7 is about aiming for consistency. Now, consistency is not perfection. Consistency is being able to do that same, continue in that same healthy habit for a very long time until you achieve a result. It may not be perfect, you may not get it completely all right, but the good thing is that you are doing something good every day to improve your weight. So aim for consistency, not perfection. Set practical and attainable goals. So you can tell yourself, okay, this very large plate, I'm reducing it to the moderate size first of all. Then you try that one for some months, then before you reduce it to the smallest one. Then stay accountable. Let people know that you are on this journey so that they will help you to run through that journey. You can also find a support group or community to join so that they will help you through that. And if all these things become difficult, maybe you've tried out all of them and you can still maintain an adequate weight, you can seek professional help to help you to maintain an adequate weight. But in all these things, know that weight loss is not magic, but it's possible. So you have to have a very healthy mindset to be able to succeed on this journey. So it's a goal that is achievable. There's a goal that needs a lot of discipline from you. So see you on the next one.